Trump administration is expected to release its first national crypto stockpile report on Wednesday stateside, detailing the structure and contents of the government's digital assets. This includes holdings under the Strategic Bitcoin Reserve and the U.S. Digital Asset Stockpile, which consists of cryptocurrencies seized through legal enforcement actions. Investors are eager to know how much Bitcoin the U.S. government actually owns. The report could also recommend national security and banking access reforms for crypto firms.
Today is the day, ladies and gentlemen, being Wednesday the 30th of July, that they are set to release the Crypto Task Force's report that will tackle things such as a digital asset stockpile. Now, let's try and be a little bit conservative here and glass half empty. I think with announcements, people always expect more than often are delivered. I mean, this is a big deal in many senses, one of which is the fact that the government are even considering this, or not just considering it, looking to enable it. But we kind of know that they've looked at Bitcoin. David Sachs has mentioned a number of other cryptocurrencies, and so has Trump. I think this is going to bring broader clarity. And this week is one filled with events. We've got the Fed also speaking today. The expectations of a rate cut are basically zero, 97% that they are going to keep rates where they are, and I think they are going to do that. I think there's a bit of a battle going on between Trump and Jerome Powell. You've also got lots of economic data coming out, and this crypto report. Despite trying to be a little bit more glass half empty on this and saying, okay, well, let's not have too high expectations, but anything above that is a bonus. I think that's a good way to approach these kind of events. Bitcoin does look pretty much ready for the next leg. This has been a technically beautiful chart for us. The last thing we looked at was this falling wedge. I think this could be a bit of a bull flag that's going to ultimately lead to continuation. And you may be on the cusp of breaking out here. You're sort of consolidating. The 1 hourly time frame probably isn't the best. 4 hourly is perhaps better. You are kind of consolidating in this sort of a bull flag pattern. And this could result in a break to the upside. And this could be it. You could be coiling up here, ready for a break and continuation towards those broader patterns that we have. Remember, this was the last bull flag in and around BTC's all-time highs that we looked at. And that takes you to about 138k. That's this bull flag target. And then we had the falling wedge that played out, all pointing towards continuation, which of course we have technically signaled for us on the broader timeframes. I also think it's very interesting that Ethereum is on the cusp of a major breakout, thus permissioning more broad alt season. You can see this is a trend line, a resistance line that you've been held under 1, 2, 3, 4 times a lady perhaps. And you may be looking to embark on a rather spectacular journey for Ethereum. Spectacular for Ethereum. I think other altcoins massively outperform. And we have spoke about the more broad sentiment change towards Ethereum with funding flows, kind of ETH strategy companies and things like this, perhaps signaling a broader alt season. So we shall see what we get out of this build today. I think that with everything going on, excuse me, the markets are somewhat a deer in the headlights. But we know today is the day, the 30th of July, where they're essentially set to release the President's Working Group on Digital Assets report. And this could be interesting. In fact, I think will be. And we'll see how this affects the price. Market's rather stagnant up until this point. And again, I think that just has everything to do with the economic data that we've got going on. And a very strong dollar actually leaning on things. The question is what does the dollar do from here? Does it find its support here after making our head and shoulders target and start to rally and continue to lean on risk assets, or does it break down out of a channel that it's been in since 2008 when Bitcoin was coincidentally introduced to us at a time when the world is getting ready to embrace the cryptocurrency space? Lots of other news going on. This is from Paul Atkins. I'm pleased to share the SEC has approved in-kind creation and redemption for crypto ETPs. The approval continues to build a rational regulatory framework for crypto, leading to a deeper and more dynamic market, which will benefit all Americans. This is from Paul Atkins. It's a new day at the SEC, and a key priority of my chairmanship is developing a fit-for-purpose regulatory framework for the crypto asset market. I am pleased the Commission approved these orders permitting in-kind creation and redemption for a host of crypto ETPs. Investors will benefit from these approvals as they will make these products less costly and more efficient because you don't have to sell and incur all the kind of fees associated with that. He goes on to say, today's approval continued to build a rational regulatory framework for crypto, leading to a deeper and more dynamic market, which will benefit all American investors. This decision aligns with the standard practice for similar ETPs. Eleanor Tourette, of course, reporting on this. That means markets can now deliver or receive actual crypto instead of cash, a big shift towards creating crypto ETPs like traditional commodity ETFs. So there'll be a sell pressure that's taken away there in regards to the fact that you don't have to, on redemption, cash out of the cryptos. You can actually deliver and use the cryptos. Everybody's reporting on this. Eric Balanchunas, a great guy to follow. Looks like the SEC just approved in-kind creation, redemption for all Bitcoin and Ether ETFs. Order granting accelerated approval is such a nice sentiment, isn't it? Yeah, it is. This is all part, like Paul's saying, of creating a broader regulatory framework. When are we going to get altcoin ETPs? I think you're looking at September for all out approval of these ETPs. September, October, I think is going to be a time. So we're going into August. September's the next month. You've got 30-something days to go until I think we see all out approval for more broad ETFs. And they're putting in the groundworks now, and this is part of that for that. So it's a new day at the SEC. Obviously reporting on what Hester Peirce has to say on it. She's obviously very optimistic. Now, this was interesting. Eric Balanchunas says, an issuer just wrote me, this is huge, and will create explosive option-based Bitcoin ETFs. So the SEC also approving increasing the position limit of options on IBIT to 250,000 from 25,000. So a 10x increase. Also approving use of flex options. He goes on to say, what's amazing is IBIT's option volume was already 4 billion a day, which is massive, even more than big dogs like TLT, which is the 20-year plus dated treasury ETF, and HYG, and now the limit has just been raised 10x. This will help bring in bigger institutions and be helpful during volatile time periods. Pretty big. And this, of course, is where that chart is from. So lots of things happening that are all ultimately leading to a more comprehensive regulatory framework, which we still don't have around the cryptocurrency market. Also yesterday, it's the 30th of July today, this was announced yesterday, this is Loomis introduces bill to revolutionise mortgage lending, making homeowners more accessible, or ownership more accessible for young Americans, and it targets crypto. It says US Senator Cynthia today introduced the 21st Century Mortgage Act to bring America's mortgage system into the digital age by requiring government-sponsored enterprises to consider digital assets when assessing single-family mortgage eligibility. This legislation would codify U.S. Federal Housing Finance Agency Director William Pultz's directive to consider cryptocurrency as an asset for single-family loans delivered to Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. It says this legislation would direct the Federal National Mortgage Association, Fannie Mae, and the Federal Home Loan Mortgage Corporation, Freddie Mac, to include digital asset recorded on a cryptographic secure distributed ledger as part of their mortgage risk assessment for single-family loans. This is huge. Imagine having crypto, not selling it and getting a loan against it in worthless fiat to go and buy an asset once again. It's all part of a broader shift towards embracing this technology from a market standpoint, but also a usage and utility standpoint. I'm going to sort of riff this with you guys, just me and the camera, this week at some point. I had a great interview where someone spoke about stablecoins and what he's seeing in a different jurisdiction where he's directly working with a central bank to literally enable stablecoins. And it's outside of the US, and it's imperative that this country do it almost as a matter of national stability, certainly national monetary stability, because if countries don't go ahead and adopt this technology, they're going to get engulfed by the United States and their dollar dominance created by stablecoins, because there's nothing stopping other countries from using stablecoins issued by the United States. And they lose monetary power and sovereignty as a result of that if they don't adopt this technology. So all nation states are going to have to adopt this. This is how technology goes. You either embrace it or get cannibalized by it. And it was Christine Lagarde that said that in regards to technologies like XRP and XLM. So markets, unfortunately, a bit like deers in headlights. You could see a breakout today. We looked at that bull flag earlier, the smaller bull flag. I don't really know, to be honest. I'm choosing to be pessimistic on this just because it's an announcement by a government agency. And sometimes they massively underdeliver, but that's not to take away the underdeliver in regards to perhaps unrealistic expectations. That's not to take away the magnitude of this entire situation, being that everybody's adopting crypto and we're positioned for that. And we're positioned at a time when people haven't been allowed to adopt it as of right now. The total cryptocurrency market cap, excluding Bitcoin, we're still waiting for this head and shoulders, not head and shoulders, cup and handle to play out, taking us to $6.3 trillion. I think you've got an amazing time ahead of you, and we just get further confirmation of that on a daily basis. So let's see what this bill brings. We'll also be streaming the Fed's post-FOMC decision on rates meeting. So do stay tuned for that. And of course, we'll report on everything tomorrow and how the markets have reacted to the bill, to the report, perhaps to the earnings that we've got coming out today. On that note, guys, I'm going to love and leave you. Thanks everyone for watching. It's always a pleasure, and I'll see you in the next one.